It's Nolan.
Two 22.
I just sing.
222.
Yeah, I just sing.
222. 222.
I just sing.
222.
Coming straight like I've been on manifestation. Speaking with authority and expectation. Planting my seeds, I'm making what I need. I've been doing my thing, I exceed limitations. Finally got a grip on now, hold it back. Good things come to people that is it with the facts. You can pray all day, but there's nothing without ass. I'm coming for my stacks, I'm rooting for all blacks.
Tell the world I'm on my way.
I done got real tight with the plug, my nigga.
I work and never play.
If it's stuck, then it's stuck. So what's up, my nigga? I ain't never been a problem. I've been all about solutions. I don't bother with confusion. They calling me Confucius. I don't find this shit amusing. I just want restitution. Wait.
Yeah, I just sing.
222. 222.
I just sing.
222.
Yeah, I just sing.
222. 222.
I just sing.
222.
My ancestors speaking to me. My ancestors speaking to me. They shine on my spirit, revise on my lyrics, beyond what my vision can see. My ancestors speaking to me. My ancestors speaking to me. They shine on my spirit, revise on my lyrics, beyond what my vision Got me can by see. the posterity, bummed by my prosperity. I ain't talking about charity, I mean sincerity. Need equality, parity. Y'all don't see the severity, what if they bury me? Did I give enough time? Will they live through my rhymes? With all the destruction, the foot, will they see the design? Should I leave them a sign, or will the connection continue to flow when I go, when I pass it to new generations? I feel it innately, that some people hate me, but I just keep growing from day to day basis. I focus on joy and love with existence. I'm using my time to make a decision. I hope that I'm ready the day that I make the transition and finally finish my mission.
Hold on.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. 1 second, let me get my camera together. My shit gonna fuck up in the top of the video. You bitch you. Hold on. All right, I think we back in the game. This is too important of a video for me to be glitching on. Hope y'all doing well. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about this whole Jaguar Wright situation. She's had a very eventful past few days. It had been a little minute since she had really gone viral or been out there like on a major scale. You know what I'm saying? She's been at this for the last few years, you know, attempting to basically expose the industry, tell us who are, you know, the quote unquote monsters in the industry. And the things with Jaguar Wright, I gotta be honest, I've always taken note of what she said and, you know, kept it under a watchful eye. But at the same time, I've also taken what she's been talking about with a little bit of a grain of salt. I feel like Jaguar Wright, for the most part, if I'm to be honest, in the short time that she was like really involved in the industry, which was a very short period of time, maybe 2-3 years max, I'm sure that she did see some things. I'm sure that she saw some people get mistreated, people's feelings hurt, and I'm sure that she probably saw some inappropriate things happen because people in power do inappropriate things and they cover it up. I'm not going to deny that by any means, right? However, I do question how much access she actually had to the people that she's constantly talking about. And I believe, to be honest, that the initial group that she came out exposing when she first came back and resurfaced were the people that she spent the most time with and had the most information on. And that would be the Roots. That would have been Common, Mos Def, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott. All of those people were the original cast of players that she had an issue with. If you don't know about that, Jaguar Wright resurfaced online because a former member of the Roots, I won't even say former member, but a member of the Roots, Malik B, passed away. And unfortunately, Malik B has battled with addiction for the greater part of his life, second half of his life. He was around with the Roots for the first couple of albums. They kicked him out the group. They allowed him to like jump back in and out whenever he was like, you know, in a better place to record and be a part of the crew. But unfortunately, when he passed away, he didn't have much to his name, didn't have much going on. And the Roots kind of, you know, with them being on Jimmy Fallon and all of that stuff, Jaguar Wright felt as if they could have done more for him in his latter years to make sure that he was good, right? I'm sure she would have liked for him to have been included with the Jimmy Fallon gig, but they got it during the time that he wasn't right, you know? Unfortunately, it's how things go sometimes. But because of that, right? she surfaced online. She started having these emotional outbursts, these breakdowns and stuff like that. And from that point, she made it her mission that she was going to expose the industry and throw everybody under the bus, right? So she came out talking about how the Roots used to tour and they used to go to some, I forgot what city this lady was in, but she said that there was this old white lady that they used to pull up to her house and run trains on. You know what I'm saying? And she was saying all type of foul shit about Common and Erykah Badu. Like I said, she was throwing them under the bus. And I believe everyone has their flaws. If you spend enough time around anybody for an extended amount of time and they start letting their guard down, you're going to see different flaws. You're going to see different ways that you may not agree with anyone, right? Now, the thing that never gets talked about, and I want to say this for a lot of people, not everyone, it's not a catch-all, but when you're around and you're taking part and you're witnessing these different things, if they happen, one also has to think of, well, what was your role in this situation? Did you just sit back and watch it happen? You know what I'm saying? For anyone that was like abused or anyone that was like taken advantage of, did you just sit back and accept it as normal because you were trying to get where you were trying to go? Because now when you come out and you accuse all of these different people of all these different things, you now want to call out the people that are complicit in not doing anything. I think you also have to point the finger back at yourself, because when everything was at its prime in actual time, real time, you were doing the exact same thing. You were complicit and you were trying to further your career. It just didn't pan out. So those are the little things about Jaguar Wright, the inconsistencies that I've spotted over the past few years. Some people feel like they can take her at her word at all times. Salute to you if you feel that way. I'm not going to criticize you. Some people have other feelings. I'm somewhere like, I understand that she's seen some things, and I think that some things that she says are things that she's heard. And I think she also adds a lot of salt and pepper to the dish in order to drive her points home, because she wants to take these people down. And her motivation behind taking them down, I don't know, right? I think when it comes to Diddy, yes, Diddy deserves to go down. Diddy's done a lot of foul shit. He's abused a lot of people. We saw that in actual 4K video. The shit was disgusting, right? All of the allegations that are out from actual victims of Diddy, right? Especially those that were a part of the bad boy camp that actually had to endure it. I'm taking that from Cassie. I'm taking that from Dawn. I'm taking that from Aubrey O'Day, right? All the people that he's done wrong financially, that also counts. And I'm not saying that these other accounts don't count, right? I'm just saying these people were in very intimate quarters for quite some time under his rule. Yes, I understand. When it comes to the Lil Rod lawsuit, when it comes to the original 10 lawsuits that came out earlier this year, I believe those people. With Miss Natanya Rubin, the one who he shot in the face in that club, I believe her. You know what I'm saying? I believe the majority of what I've been seeing. But when you get people like Jaguar Wright that come out and, again, are throwing extra barbecue sauce on an already sauced piece of rib, I don't know. The taste just gets a little too strong for me. You know what I'm saying? When she comes out and she went on Piers Morgan the other day and she said that Jay-Z and Beyonce are monsters. Well, if they are indeed monsters, and I make no qualms about this, we're going to need some evidence. You can't just say that they're monsters and have nothing to back it up. You've been talking about these people for years. The only time that anyone has ever seen you documented around Jay-Z was in 2001, 2002? You did one show with this man, and all of a sudden, you know all of the inner workings of his life, his marriage, all of these different types of things. Earlier this year, you went and did an interview with Miss Tasha K and said that there's footage of Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj having a sexual encounter. Just had to take a moment of silence on that. I believe Miss Jaguar Wright even alleged that Megan Thee Stallion was born a man. I hate to even justify this with some sort of retort. But this is the person we're dealing with. This is the person who had a breakdown and was basically desecrating her own child's ashes on Instagram Live. So, do I trust all of the accounts, the words and things that she says? Absolutely not. So let's get into her recent appearance on both Piers Morgan and the situation that she had with a man that I generally refuse to talk about, Star. He's basically Academic's grandfather. And just take a look at what's been going on this week. Somebody hopped in my comments and was like, yo, I think it's time to talk about Jag. All right, if we're going to talk, we're going to talk. But I hope you don't expect me to blindly follow what it is that she's saying. Again, I do believe she's witnessed some things. But by her own admission, she claims that she's played a vital role in some of this as well. And we're going to get to that also. All right, let's go. We're going to first pull up the Piers Morgan clip and go from there.
Why there's no vindication for me? Because for 4 years, I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean. You must respond. You have no choice. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately. Sean Carter. This has been a fist of tyranny that has been punching through our culture and our society for decades. It must stop.
All right. Now, it's not my job to come in here and try to debunk Miss Jaguar Wright. So that's not what I'm here to do. Just want to pause here because I would think that there's a lot more people in common between these people. You know what I'm saying? And to say that Jay-Z is marked by his silence, well, what exactly do you expect for Jay-Z to come out and say? Diddy is under investigation. Diddy has already been exposed via video. Like, he's going through his situation. What do you want him to come out and speak support towards Diddy? That ain't gonna happen. You want him to come out and kick him while he's down? I don't really see where Jay-Z would do that either. That doesn't seem to be the type of person I've ever seen him to be out and just be like, ha, it's about time. That wouldn't make no sense because they've had a professional relationship for how many years? So I feel like, yeah, it's probably in your best interest to just let it go, let that man fall, because there's nothing that you can do that's going to stop it. And no matter what, even with his silence, people have thrown him in the mix. If he comes out and says anything, if he says, yeah, I'm glad they got him, all that's going to do is amplify it and say, well, let's look into you then. Why are you going to say that? Let's see what you got going on. So it's a lose-lose situation in the court of public opinion when it comes to people like Jaguar. And again, I feel like there's so many other celebrities. There's so many other people in power. I wouldn't even say power, but people of public favor that have canoodled with all of these people. All of these people throw these fucking elaborate parties, right? So you got the top of the food chain, and then you go down, and it's like fucking, I wouldn't say thousands, but hundreds of people that are in this entertainment industry that are like, receiving the actual invites. Then you got the hanger-ons and stuff like that. But if you go through like the list of like who all has been in these parties, in these situations that may not have witnessed things but may have, you know what I'm saying? The connection goes way deeper than just a Jay-Z. There's so many folks that have in common with the Epsteins, the Weinsteins, the Diddys, because everybody was forced to be connected to these people in a lot of different ways. You know what I'm saying? Because they were the power players. And if you don't know the power players, you're not getting ahead if you have zero relationship. So I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not saying that what she's saying is completely invalid. I'm just saying that she's putting 100 on the gas. And when you do that, you got to have a little bit more than just words. You got to have some proof. That's how I see it. Because if I'm not going to speak on things, if I can't prove them, if I don't have like really detailed accounts, videos, photos, like if you're going to come out and take on that crusade, you got to be fully equipped. That's all I can say on it. But I'm going to let her continue.
There's been obviously a lot of
Cruelty-free artistry.
Right. There's been a lot of rumor mill about what has happened in the rap world. A lot of allegations that the misogyny in the lyrics clearly was based on a general misogyny towards women away from the music. And that clearly seems to have been borne out by these charges against Diddy, which if he's found guilty of all this, he's never coming out of prison. How dangerous do you think...
Thank God.
How dangerous do you think he is as a person?
I think he's one of the most dangerous people I've ever met. A lot of people have been questioning, well, she doesn't really know him. She has no knowledge of him. She doesn't have a picture with him. I'm smarter than Claudia Jordan. I would never take a picture with the devil. Everyone knew he was the devil. He's been the devil for 30 years. He's been covered and protected by not only Clive Davis, but Lucian Grange. He was selected to be the demon that he is, to keep the culture in line so the industry could continue to rape it for all of its precious jewels. We have too many lost. The list of lost is ridiculous. And everyone knows Diddy was selected for this job.
Now, that last bit that she put in there is pretty plausible, right? To say that Diddy's the devil, a lot of people have known this from the jump. Diddy has a track record. You know what I'm saying? Diddy has a track record that's followed him since he was at Howard. And for some reason, people just kept brushing it to the side, right? So if he was abusive as just like a 19-year-old young man in college, he got this name Puffy because of his temper. Yeah, I understand how that definitely that reputation would have followed him. We've seen him on live TV, well, not live, but recorded TV of him being aggressive. We saw him on Making the Band with resurfaced footage of him being aggressive with his own people. Lorianne Gibson, right? The aggression he had toward the ladies in Danity Kane, the microaggressions he put against them, the verbal abuse that he subjected them to. Like, all of this stuff, for some reason, was brushed and swept under the rug as passion. He was passionate. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that had a decent head on their shoulders when he made the original band Go Walk for Cheesecake in the middle of the fucking night, niggas saw there was an imbalance of power. There was some fuck shit going on there. Like, there's just too many incidents that played out not only privately but publicly that made people question his character. Not to mention, even as a little kid, I was always privy to the fact that Puffy was robbing his artists, right? There was nothing I wanted more than to be in the industry when I was a kid. But guess who I did not want to be around? Fucking Diddy. That was the nigga. I'm like, shit, he don't pay people. Shit. Before I even heard any of the other shit, he don't pay people, and he make niggas walk from city to city on foot to get a goddamn piece of cheesecake for this nigga. Nah, fuck him. So, I don't know, man. Until we get further accounts that can directly speak to Jay-Z being the same type of person, displaying the same type of character, and displaying the same type of acts. Because remember, we're not convicting Diddy for being an asshole. We're convicting Diddy on sex traffic. We're speaking on Diddy for SA. We're talking about Diddy in terms of drugging people and taking advantage of them against their will. Right? And he's not on trial necessarily for domestic violence with Cassie, but that plays a large part into showing his controlling ways and how he manipulates people to stay under his thumb, namely women, because he treats them in that fashion. So we have all of these things. Now, it did take years in order for all of this stuff to come out. But again, there's been a very deep reputation that's followed this man to where when these allegations came out, it was like, shit, I'm not surprised. Right? The most I've personally, and y'all can correct me, the most I've personally heard of convincing stories about Jay-Z is that he allegedly got some illegitimate children out there. Right? I've heard that about 8 times. Only one of them has kind of been somewhat convincing. For years, I heard a rumor of Jay-Z allegedly being the hidden hand that was taking care of Maya. Maya came out and was like, man, stop all this fucking cap. Right? She said, I worked with that nigga on one song, knew him very briefly. I wasn't around like that. Please leave me alone. Now, do you want to believe women when they say that? Or is it only believe women when it's egregious? You know what I'm saying? I personally believe women of all stories. In most cases, other than Jag. Because when you make shit up, we got to be critical of you. But she, like I said, some of what she says may be accurate. Some of it may be true. Other things may be accounts that she's heard. Not saying that she's completely wrong. I just don't know if everything she's saying is completely real. Right? What else? What else? I haven't really heard abusive claims on Jay. They try to say that he groomed Beyonce. I'm not of the thought process that he groomed her, but there is a significant age difference between the two of them. We understand that, but they've remained together for a very long time. Beyonce seems to be very happy with him. If there comes a day when that is no longer the truth, or something changes, or she comes out, her family comes out and voices some sort of displeasure towards that, I will side with that. I will ride with that. But we're going to have somebody play a significant role in showing us, hey, this has been a farce. Right? The Aaliyah thing. Aaliyah was Dame Dash's girl, which is we're gonna get to in a second because she brings this up. Aaliyah never dated Jay-Z. Right? When everything unfolded with R. Kelly. Y'all remember R. Kelly allegedly got his ass maced by Jay-Z's people. Yes, they had them albums. Yes. But Jay-Z got that nigga the fuck out of there. That was the reason, if you've ever seen Fade to Black and you've loved watching those studio sessions, love seeing that show come together, Fade to Black, the movie, was created because it was a get this bitch nigga the fuck out of here it's time to replace him. How do we continue this tour and this show that we put all this money, resources, and time into, and now the main act, he's a bitch ass nigga. He got to get up out of here. Right? Now, of course, prior to the Best of Both Worlds and all that shit, it was widely known since I was a child that R. Kelly had married Aaliyah when she was a minor. The entire music industry had no problem with that. And for whatever reason, that part gets swept under the rug. The entire world had no problem with that. The only people that I knew had a problem with that shit was everyday people. But people that was behind, that was actually inside the game, it happened in front of everybody's faces, and they went about life fairly normal. It was a short-lived marriage, and, you know, once she got away from him, a lot of people started to try to protect her and keep her away. You know what I'm saying? But regardless of that, she never even asked Dame to not be around him, right? Dame has come out and said that she didn't mind. It's not so much that she wanted him hanging around R. Kelly, but it's like, hey, if that's business, y'all handle y'all business, whatever. That was while she was living. We all know Aaliyah was not in the best position from the jump with her fucking family, her uncle, and all of these niggas taking advantage of her. And that shit has been an issue even after she passed. But while she was here, she was making the most of it, and she wasn't holding grudges, even though she had been through so much shit. So, you know, I just don't like when people take pieces of the truth and then stretch it out to be something that it wasn't exactly. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to talk, if we want the truth, then we also have to accept that some of the truth is just unsexy. It's not like the books. It's not like the fucking scandalous novels that we grew up reading. Some shit is worse in a lot of cases, but not every situation is that. And that's all I'm saying, man. I'm gonna let her continue though.
Well, because the Me Too movement was a ruse. It was a setup. It was a scam. I'm saying that now, publicly. Dream Hampton spearheaded the Surviving R. Kelly campaign, which fueled the Me Too campaign. And that was all funded by Sean Carter to make sure that Robert Kelly went to jail. Get his lick back. Why is nobody understanding that Dream Hampton was being financed and ran by Sean Carter? They were able to go and get all of these witnesses because he was there with Robert Kelly. How does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aaliyah and Robert Kelly? This is insane that people keep refusing.
Now, again, if Jay-Z was funding Dream Hampton, which they do have a relationship, I think she helped him with the coded book and all that stuff. If he's behind the scenes funding this campaign and making sure that the witnesses are produced to take R. Kelly down for him to be imprisoned, what part of that makes him a monster? If that is true, because we don't know that to be true, that he contributed to that. But if he did, I would think that people should be jumping for joy against the fact that he did that. Now, do I personally think he would do that? No, because based on street policy, that would identify him as a snitch. And I don't know if he would want that on his name. Now, Desi Perez, they say she a snitch too. But I don't think he personally want that on his name because of street policy. But if he, in fact, was a vital piece in taking R. Kelly down, which we just went over. His reign of dealing with underage women began right in front of our face, early 90s, with the beloved Aaliyah, and then so many more that he filmed. And come on, man, we don't even got to go into all that, the crazy shit. Even up until the nigga was imprisoned, he had young women, and not only just underage, but grown age women that were under his rule, lived in his quarters, couldn't look him in the face. They were basically treated like prisoners and sexual slaves. So if Jay-Z played a vital role in making sure that he got locked up behind bars, how does that put him on the same level? If he's the one that actually, and I'm saying that with capital letters, if. I think everybody should be goddamn sending Jay-Z party favors to his crib. If that's the case, what are we talking about, Jack? And I'm removing my fandom of Jay-Z, or setting it aside, just listening and interpreting your own accounts of what you say happened. What are we doing?
To see what's right there. If the Me Too movement were real, why aren't they speaking now? They've also been very quiet in this time of the diddler's downfall.
Jaguar,
Guess they on vacation.
If this goes to court, Jaguar, do you think the world is going to be shocked by what comes out?
Oh, absolutely. I just don't know why they are. It's been happening in front of everyone's faces for decades. For decades.
How many victims?
What's the difference between me and Judy Garland? Social media.
How many victims?
There was none for her.
How many victims potentially do you think there could be?
Thousands. Thousands. I've talked to hundreds that I deal with still myself. I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
What do you think happened with Kim Porter?
Keeping people against their will. Putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane. Unconscious. There's a lot of things that people don't want to talk about, Piers.
Listen, like I said, Jay-Z and Beyonce are not here, unfortunately, to respond to that.
I know. I'm just being honest with you.
You're perfectly entitled to your views, obviously. Kim Porter,
yes.
A new book claims that Diddy may have been involved in her early death. What do you think of that?
I think people should really look into that more. I am friends with Albie Shore. I love him. I love his children. I knew Kim. We used to all hang out together at the Kit Kat Club back in the mid-90s when Diddy was first starting his reign. I watched that whole thing happen. And everything that Albert has been through, every attempt on his life that has been ignored by the authorities, it all leads back to Diddy. And everyone knows it. The wiretapping of the phones, putting AirTag on children during visits. These are normal practices that these people do.
All right, so that's Jaguar Wright on Piers Morgan. Now, to my knowledge, I haven't seen, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know everything that everybody said. But I haven't really seen Albie Shore come out and co-sign none of her stories. I haven't seen Albie Shore come out and actually admit to them being friends in current. As a matter of fact, when she had first resurfaced online, she said that she had received a call that was about Albie Shore's condition, but it wasn't so much that they had been in communication. It was just that she was informed of what he was going through. She says that they were friends in the mid-90s, which I believe is plausible because that was during her rise to prominence. During her formative years before becoming, a part of the Roots touring situation and whatnot. So I could believe that she was in certain settings, hung out with certain people, and she was very talented. Let's not take anything away from her. Very talented singer. And during the time where she was in the industry, she worked with some heavy hitters on music. But just how long have you actually been friends with Al B. Shore, or were y'all cool? You know what I mean? You fell out the game. He moved on with life. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how this played out. Did y'all continue to have conversations? Did y'all continue to have any actual connection beyond those years? That's what I be wanting to know. You know what I'm saying? Because you could say, oh, we've been friends for 25 years. But when you really look at it, it's like, we ain't spoke in 20. No, y'all was friends for 5 years and been estranged for 20. Let's keep it a buck about what we're talking about here, because that changes a lot of things. You can't act like you know intimate details about somebody's life when you ain't been there for the majority of it. You may know things from that time period, but people change, feelings change, a lot of different things. Again, that's not to take away from the stories about Kim Porter, because we now see, hey, it's a lot of speculation about Kim Porter. It was speculation. It was weird how she died in the first place. So I believe she takes pieces of real information or believable information, things that seem true enough, and then she just dragged that motherfucker out until the goddamn measuring tape can't extend any further. That's just how I see it, man. Somebody asked me how I felt. This is how I feel. This is actually one of the reasons why I avoid speaking about her, because she's one of those figures that could kind of, she's a polarizing person. That's all I could say. Now, after her appearance on Piers Morgan, she ended up calling into former radio personality Star, who's now a YouTube creator. He was basically revived when Joe Budden and the other crew from Everyday Struggle kind of fell off the wagon. And he basically was talking about her appearance on Piers Morgan. She ended up calling into his show. He didn't necessarily know that it was her off rip. He wanted to confirm that it was really Jaguar Wright calling in because, of course, she wasn't on camera, so he couldn't verify if her true identity. All he could hear was a voice. So he was basically trying to lay out some ground rules, ask her some questions to verify her identity or whatever, to make sure he was talking to the right person. She was kind of over talking him, trying to get her points out. She was jumping into the whole Jay-Z thing. And at a certain point, she started trying to quote what he was saying about her. And he felt as though she was mocking him. I don't want to play it because it's just a intolerable level of disrespect from Star. I don't fuck with Star at all. And he begins to lay into Jaguar Wright, berating her, calling her out of her name, which y'all see I have not done yet. I don't agree with everything she says. I think that she's definitely somewhat mentally ill. And for that, I give her a bit of grace. But he started calling her a bee. He started calling her funky, nappy-headed. He called her a monkey. All of this different type of stuff because they couldn't seem to get on one accord about how to have this conversation, right? He then goes into, I don't give a fuck about you. Bitch, put your man on the phone. Just like all of the misogyny that anyone could ever toss, he tossed and sauced it at her. You know what I'm saying? And I don't respect that shit at all. I don't think that shit is cool. And he did it in front of a live audience on YouTube. I don't understand how the video even remains up. That shit should have been flagged. Right? And that's where the human form of everything kind of like supersedes everything. Like, okay, if you don't believe Jag, that's cool. You don't like Jag, that's cool. She called into your show. There's a respectful way to handle that conversation, and that's the way it should have been handled. But when you get to the point where you start even throwing racist comments at a fellow black person, we got to get you, somebody got to get you the fuck up out the paint. Now, unfortunately, his audience thinks just like him. His audience wants to act just like him. I can't say they do act just like him, because out in the real world, a lot of motherfuckers ain't gonna be tolerating that bullshit that niggas on, right? But they want to be like that. They want to be a star. They want to be in academics. They want to be them fresh and fit motherfuckers. They want to be a high value, controlling ass nigga, right? So there's a fucking feedback loop of people that was probably in the chat laughing. I didn't see it live. Probably in the chat laughing, having the fucking time of their life at the expense of this woman. Again, I'm not here for Jag, but I would never say none of that shit toward her. Period. Even if she did make me angry, I would have to get the fuck on and be like, you got it, fam. You got it. You're not gonna get me to jump out my skeleton. But it was like such a quick little switch. Like it only took about 2 minutes for him to like go from, you did a grand slam on Piers Morgan, what's next? To, you funky, blah, 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 blah. Fuck yeah, I don't give a fuck about you. Nah. We can't accept that shit. We can't accept that shit. And unfortunately, we live in a time, we live in this internet era, where even people of the worst kind can build platforms and bring people in and build communities with little to no consequences at all. You know what I'm saying? And the YouTube guidelines, it's crazy. YouTube put ad suitability on my videos just for talking about music. You know what I'm saying? Just for playing one of my songs, and it's like it got a curse word too soon, and the motherfucker, I get flagged. But niggas like that get to goddamn go live every night, get donations, plentiful donations at that, build a platform, be a fucking infamous radio personality that got fired from everywhere he's been at, but still have a platform. That's beyond me. I don't understand it. I don't get it. And as I stated before, whether or not I believe or agree with all of what Jag says, I don't respect nothing that nigga said or did. And that's what I mean by she's a polarizing figure, where it's like, even when you write her off, something happens that's going to be like, nah, I can't completely go against her because that shit was fucked up. And it's been that since she's resurfaced. Some crazy shit going on, man. Some crazy shit. She's out here implying that Jay-Z and Beyonce had something to do with Aaliyah passing on the plane. That's foul. That's foul, man. Now, she says she has 3 victims that are willing to come forward and talk about their experience. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be tuned in to see what these alleged victims have to say. Because again, although I may be fans of people, I'm not a big enough fan of nobody to co-sign abuse. Not co-sign it, not overlook it and act like everything is peachy. Nah. But again, there still has to be some checks and balances about allegations, because even with Diddy right now, right? I talked about the original 10, 11, 12 lawsuits that came out. Now we're talking about 100 more people coming out against Diddy. And some of these stories, I don't know if y'all seen the news last night, but we now got this guy who's coming out and saying that Diddy touched him inappropriately when he was 6 years old. There's a photo of Diddy basically putting his arms around this kid for a picture in which the child's father took the photo. Let me see if I could go find this shit. So this is the photo in question, right? You see Diddy reaching down, taking a quick photo with this child, and they're now trying to make it seem like he inappropriately groped him. Now, I think in this instance, I don't see groping. I see him holding the child to take a photo, to kneel down and take a photo with him. And if you want to question the ethics on doing that, that's fair. You know what I'm saying? But this photo probably took all of 10 seconds. This young man is now grown, and he did an interview with Inside Edition or some shit. And his entire interview is about this photo, right? Now the mother is coming out saying, yeah, the party was inappropriate and it was loud music and topless women, which, hey, if y'all brought your child to a Diddy party and topless women were there, that's completely inappropriate, but why didn't you remove your child? Right? This is where the questions start coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, why didn't you take your child home? What other types of photos does your husband have if he worked as Diddy's photographer? This ain't the photo I'm concerned with, unfortunately. Sorry. If this is the only interaction you had with Diddy and you went about your life, this ain't the story that's actually applying to what we're talking about. You're trying to get your 10 seconds of fame. Have at it. But ma'am, what other photos does your husband have in that camera? What other photos just that day did your husband take? Why didn't one of y'all motherfuckers leave with this child? Both of y'all was in attendance at the party. Neither one of y'all could leave when the titties started popping out. I could see him because he the photographer. Why the fuck you couldn't? Oh, all right, titties done popped out. Time to go. She out here talking about, yeah, they were smoking marijuana. Hey, fam. I don't know what parties everybody attended when they was kids. My mama don't like the smell of weed. She don't fuck with weed at all. Right? So if we was I don't give a fuck if it was goddamn Michael Jackson himself. If we was at a party, and likely we wouldn't have been at a party to begin with, I ain't gonna lie to you. The way I was raised. We was at a party and the smell of weed started to protrude into the environment, we would have been gone before the second puff. No pun intended on names. Moms would have had me the fuck out of there. What's that? Let's go. But y'all complaining about weed smoke and topless women when you could have just said, okay, guys, it's time to leave. Y'all stayed hours longer. And now this young man, who's now an adult, is coming out saying, I was uncomfortable. Y'all see this photo? You see Diddy is literally leaning. He ain't in his lap. We've seen some photos. Linked over, he got a towel over his neck. Grabbed the kid real quick for the picture. Might have picked him up after the picture was over, maybe. And I understand Diddy is a fuck nigga, monster, all of those different things. But I just don't see this particular instant being an exemplary form of like, oh my God, this happened to me. Especially if nothing transpired after this photo was taken. But this is the witch hunt that publications, media outlets, and platforms are now on to like just build. And I'm not co-signing Diddy. I burn that nigga. I said multiple times he should have been got bipped. So I'm not advocating for this nigga in any form. But when the liars come out and the people that just want to get a kick in, that's where it's like, bro, stay your ass at home. Take your ass back home, man. We don't need you. You were not needed. Y'all are not the reinforcement. Y'all are not the A-team. Let the real victims have their moment. Let the real victims get their justice. That's all I'm saying. The story about that 9-year-old compared to this 6-year-old in a photo, I'm going with the 9-year-old in that lawsuit. But this is where we at. And again, this is another format of people taking 20 and hitting 150 on the gas. I don't respect shit like that. And I'm hoping, that maybe y'all get where I'm coming from. You know what I'm saying? Because again, this is a polarizing topic. I'm here for all the real victims, but when dishonesty gets introduced into the fold, that's where I start checking out. Now, before I go, I want to go ahead and pull up this clip of Jaguar Wright, her own admission of guilt, talking about how she was a pimp to women, reporting to her, bringing her money, allegedly, to go sleep with these stars. Same woman out here calling people monsters. You were allegedly willfully sending these people, these women, into dangerous situations for your own financial gain. Sounds interesting to me.
Because I got 25 years of information, videotapes, text messages, pictures. See, when you're a pimp and you work in the music industry, it was easy money. See, I'm pimping. I'm at the shows. I invite the girls. And the girls come and they take the pictures and they go back to the hotel and then they drain these niggas' pockets and they come back and they pay me my money. That's how stupid all these niggas is. They didn't know half of the whores that they was screwing was working for me. Now what they need to go back and think about is how many cameras were on them. After y'all passed out from having sex and they would wake up and go through your phone. See? Y'all really don't know how much I know about you. All that patience. Letting y'all niggas make it. Letting you get nice and fat. Letting you collect all your statues. Letting y'all do all that. Knowing everything I knew about you. I would watch the Grammy Awards and just go through my device.
Now, I will say, in the beginning, there was some interesting cuts there, but maybe those were cuts of her breathing, stopping, because her speech patterns, she'll say something, stop, like smoke on her little, I don't know what that was, if it was weed, it was a black and mild. But whatever she was smoking on. So maybe that's the reason for the cuts. But at a certain point, it was smoothly planned of her talking about how she was sending these women in, allegedly, to go have sex with these entertainers, these men in power, bringing their money back to her, because that's what a pimp does. And if y'all don't know, pimping is sex trafficking. That's what pimping is. So if you were a pimp, Miss Jaguar Wright, sending these women, you were invited, you were on the guest list of some of these people's stuff, and you're inviting these women to go do what they were doing and whatever happened, and you knew it was happening, but you were being financially taken care of off of what they were going and doing, you should be arrested for sex traffic too. But that's what happens when you run your mouth a little bit too much. It can run you into the same corner that you try to put other people into. Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I will catch y'all on the next one. And I'll go ahead and put it on record now. I don't believe that this is actually real talk from her. I don't think she was doing this. I don't think she had the, if we're talking about in 2005, 2000, whatever year, I don't think she had the intelligence, not that she's dumb. I don't think she was like, she had the technology of a federal intelligence agency to put fucking hidden cameras on these women and stockpile on stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not talking about cell phone cameras. She talking about hidden cameras. You know what I mean? Y'all can look at Jaguar Wright and feel like she goddamn code name cleaner if you want. But again, let me know what y'all think down below in the comments, man. I'm out there, man.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some battery. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. When I catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.